Hello everybody! In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make Vertex Animation Texture inside Houdini and have it inside Unity. And this is the thing we're going to make. We're going to make some kind of liquid pouring and looping like this one. And the first thing we're going to make this one over here just to make the super basic, make it import into Unity. And when we have made this step, we're going to go over and make sure that the particles dies in some kind of area. So we don't have this border. And when we have made this one, we're going to make this one loop so we can have this one. So, and after that one, we're going to make a blood splash like this. And everything is Vertex Animation Texture. So we're going to start from an empty scene like this and go inside Houdini. And I'm actually gonna, let's see, I'm gonna get the file path. Because I want to save the Houdini file here. So in Houdini, I'm gonna do save as. In here, and I'm gonna have the file name like this. So the first off, we're gonna make a geometry node, and in here, well, you should have side effects labs installed. So you have this shelf here, and because we're later gonna use this vat function here. So first off, we're just gonna make a sphere. This one, I'm gonna place a meter up or unit up like this. Actually, I do two. And I'm gonna make this one go into a flip boundary. So you set up like this, but here you actually do need flip container. So this is defining the container where we're going to simulate. So particles to get outside these bounds will not simulate. And there is another way to do it as well. You see this one here, if I plug the box inside here, the box's size will define the bounding box for the flip container. And the reason I rather have a box than fiddling around with these settings here is because, let's say I work on the sphere and I want to know if it's inside the bounding box. I can't reference click like this to see the bounding box, but I can do that on the box like this. So that's why I like to have a box, because then I know if it's inside like this. So then I have the bounding box where we're gonna simulate the stuff, and the flip boundary will go into a flip solver. And if we play, and it works really good. So the things good to mention, the particle separation is the detail of the simulation. So the higher, well, the lower value we have here, the higher resolution it is, you can see. And if we do higher here, it's going to get lower resolution. So I'm actually going to do is 0.2 because it goes so quickly to just iterate. And then later I'm going to lower this one to 0.1 to make a nicer simulation. And in this flip solver, we want in the collision add a ground plane like this. And now if we simulate, you see it bounce on the ground. So now we want to make these particles into a fluid, and the only thing we need to do is do a particle fluid surface. And here we have it. So it works as intended. And if we only crank up the resolution, it's gonna get even better. So this is nice. So let's say this is exactly what we're looking for, and we just want the 24 frames. And then we only we're gonna make a null node and call it out simulation. So this one gonna go into the ROP network. And in here, we're gonna add this VAT thing. So I'm just gonna search for it. And this is the node that's gonna export everything for us. So first off, we're gonna use the Dynamic Remeshing for fluid. And it's gonna be Unity. Start end, we're gonna customize. So we're gonna just have the 24 first frames like this. And over here, we actually don't need to do anything. Input shows what we do need required, only the position, and it's gonna solve everything for us. Export. So it's gonna be hip file, that's where we save this file here, right? And it's gonna be inside an export folder and also inside a folder, this hip name here. But I just want it to be next to our file. And I also want it to be not in subdirectories. I just want everything to be next to each other. So this looks good. This is how I want it. And we actually only gonna use position rotation. We don't need the colors. So geometry, positions, rotation. Super good. Advanced, we're gonna leave. And target engine, real-time shader, we're gonna leave. And the only thing now is to do the input geometry, and that's we have out simulation, accept, and so here we have a problem. So it says it expect unpacked polygon primitives, and I think the problem is because in this one convert to surface polygon soup, all right, but we're gonna have this surface polygons. It will look the same here, but in here it's gonna be as we want it. And also, we don't have input geometry is cached to integer frames. We could have done like this. If we had a really heavy simulation, we could do file cache and we saved it somewhere on the disk somewhere. But I'm not going to do that because the simulations are not that heavy. So because we're not using file cache, we're not going to use this one here. So this should work. And we're going to make render 2 times, first pass and second pass. So render this. And if we go back to Unity, you see we have the mesh and the material and this lookup. That's a texture that we do need to I don't know exactly how it works, but it's needed for finding the information in the textures. And the second one, second pass, we're gonna do render all again. And I'm actually gonna pause until it's finished. And that one is finished. Go into Unity. And in here, if we place the mesh in here and it's super, well, it actually looks like it's supposed to do. And if we, first off, well, delete it. So the thing is, we do need to have the settings because we installed side effects plugins. We have this in the packages. We have side effects, Vertex Animation Texture. And in the editor, there are some presets that we're going to use. So the mesh gonna have this at FBX import Houdini settings, apply it. So this is the settings, hit what? And also the textures gonna also have some presets, and it's gonna be HDR. And now in the material, we're gonna have the lookup down here in the lookup table. We're gonna have the position to the position texture, and the rotation to the rotation texture. And the last thing is just add everything to the scene. And as you can see, it looks not quite right. It is squashed, stretched in a way, and very big. So the problem is, well, like we can do like this first off. So let's do a mesh so we can have a reference for this one. So we know that the scale is all right. So if we do a curve, and I'm going to use this magnet so it sticks to the grid, and we're going to do it like this, a curve. And this curve's we're gonna do convert. And you see the point. We're actually gonna, if we go into the division per spawn and just remove on the U, we have only these points that we actually put out ourselves. And if we do a resample on this one, and let's see, so if we do, so we're gonna have more points like this. But if we actually do resample by polygon edge, it's gonna keep the edges like this. And we will have more points like this. And I want to have it pretty even like this. And then I'm only gonna make a subdivide. And when this one is here, we're gonna get a little bit smoother corners like this. And then just a sweep. And we're gonna reference the liquid. So with the sweep here, we're gonna do the surface shape to round tube. And just make this one bigger. And the last step, we're gonna do a poly extrude. And pick these primitives here. Extrude it. Yeah. A little bit cartoonish. Actually, I'm just gonna only take these ones. And also a little bit less like this. Yeah, this is super good. This is gonna be sufficient. So transform, and this one gonna be scaled up 100 times because that's required to match with Unity units. And then we do a ROP FBX output like this, and this is going to be next to the hip file, and it's going to be pipe. And just save it to disk, and it's going to pop up in here. Here we have the pipe, and so this one is supposed to match exactly with this water. But the problem is, if we look in our scene here, it do match here, but there is something going on when it's writing to the textures. So the way I solve it to match up is that I do a transform. I actually scale down the simulation because it's something about the bounding box. And if I scale it down, so it's actually So you see it's very tiny here. Then with this Vertex Animation Texture, it's actually going to be simulated inside the bounding box. That's going to solve our problem. So if we do the first pass render again, and then we do the second pass and do render all again. And if we now go to Unity, we do need to, the settings is saved since before, but the material has lost these settings. Sorry. So we do need to add them again. Position, rotation, and also look up down here. And then we just need to scale this one up 10 times. And now it is in the correct size. So that's my way to handle this problem when it's not as expected. So this is super nice, and I'm actually gonna pause the tutorial here, and in the next one we're gonna make sure that the areas around here is not having these sharp edges, and then we're gonna make it loop. So thank you so much, and I really hope you enjoyed it.